Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back inside the second floor Grand Ballroom here at the Westin in Uptown Charlotte. Syracuse has entered the room. We'll spend about 15 minutes with our head coach and then about 5 minutes for each student athlete, Mikhail, Matthew, and Garrett. Folks, if you would, please identify yourselves and the agency that you are with as you're asking our four folks questions. And we will start, as predicted, in the front row, right in front of you, Coach, with Dan.
I got him.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. How are you, Coach?
Good. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing very well. Going into this season with year number 7, we have seen obviously some changes with the coaching staff and whatnot, and I know bringing in a new offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, just what you can say they've already done to improve this team, in your opinion, and the leadership moving forward for Syracuse.
Right after you got through with coordinator, I didn't hear the word that you said that was the whole key to the last part. Give it to me one more time.
Just what, bringing in Coach Adai and Coach Beck, just what they've done already, in your opinion, what felt right to bring them into the program, and what you see on the offensive side that's going to provide good leadership moving forward.
Well, first of all, I liked what they were doing over at Virginia. I looked at the numbers they were putting up. Coach Adai is someone that I've never worked with before, but we've walked the same path. He was a graduate assistant at University of Hawaii after I was. He played for BYU where I was playing at the University of Hawaii. They won a lot. That game normally came down to Hawaii versus BYU back in the day when I was there, who was going to represent the Western Athletic Conference. And I know a lot of the people that he knows. He knows a lot of the people that I know. And I just felt like he was one of those guys, if he ever came available, that I really think it would be a good fit, because we really do kind of see things the exact same way. Having the opportunity to bring Coach Beck along was just icing on the cake, and he has done a fabulous job for us. I think he's one of the bright minds in college football and one of the up-and-comers. I don't want to miss out the two other new coaches that we brought along. Michael Johnson, the wide receiver coach, was a player at Arizona State when I was a graduate assistant there back in the 80s with their Rose Bowl team in 1987. So he's someone that I've followed his career. He's been in the NFL. He's been in college football. He's really done a fantastic job with our wide receivers. And I think that tripod of new coaching has really helped us on that side of the ball. One of the things that we really wanted to shore up from last year's football team was the special teams, and I would be amiss if I did not talk about the addition of Bob Ligashevsky, someone that we hired from Bowling Green State University. Before that, he was at the University of Illinois, another coach that spent time in collegiate and pro football. He's won a Super Bowl ring with the Pittsburgh Steelers handling our special teams. So we felt that with the coaches that we had on the staff and being able to bring those 4 coaches with their experience and to infuse them into what we have, we really feel like that we're on stable ground and we're ready to see if we can make one of those jumps or make one of those moves in the ACC Atlantic.
Coach, keep it on the left side about the 4th row.
Yes, sir.
Quarterback to this event last year had a bit of a controversy. What went into the decision to bring Garrett this year?
I think Garrett is one of our team leaders. He's the guy that made us go. He's one of those guys that when you're seeing him out there play, like all 3 of the young men that are up on this stage, that there's no doubt that not only does he bleed orange, but he has the respect and the love of the people around him. And I think anytime you have that type of leadership out of the quarterback position, it's always going to be someone that not only do you want to show, but you want other guys on your team to know that these are the guys that we're going to put out in front, and these are the guys we want you to emulate.
Coach to the right side, gentleman in the 4th row.
Hey, Coach, Essex there with the old Gold and Black. Last season in the Dome, you guys played teams close. You lost to Wake Forest in overtime, lost to Clemson by 3, and this year you've got really pivotal season-changing games at home against teams like Notre Dame and NC State. How do you take advantage of that home field advantage and protect your turf and potentially change your season?
Now, didn't you say Gold and Black?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that with the University of Purdue?
I'm with Wake Forest University.
Oh, you're Wake Forest University. I'm sorry. I thought you were trying to give one of those fast ones on me because you guys were playing Purdue in the Dome as well. So
no,
I apologize.
You're all good.
I think the biggest thing in answering your question is anytime that you You get a team at home, you feel like you have an advantage. We think we have a strong 12th men. We believe that when we're at Dome with the noise that we can make in the Dome, that it gives us an advantage on offense, and it definitely gives us an advantage on defense. And when you give our defense an advantage, we feel like that it should be something we should be able to take advantage of. Our home record is not what we would like based off of last season and based off of how tough our schedule is. We must do a much, much better job at home. But we feel like the effort has been put in. We feel like we're doing the correct things, crossing T's and dotting the I's, and we're looking forward to playing that home schedule in the Dome this year.
Coach left side, about fourth row.
Hey, Coach, happy birthday.
Happy belated birthday. Thank you very much. What else? I mean, where else would you want to spend your birthday except right here with the media here in North Carolina representing the ACC? It's awesome.
Matt Bonaparte, Locked On Syracuse. In your 6 years, you've struggled in November and December, 6 and 18. Why have you guys struggled late in the season? And would it be, how much better would it be if you guys were better then than you were in the beginning of the season?
I think when people start talking about struggling late, I wouldn't go there. What I would go there is look at the opponents that we've played. It seems like our schedules are back-ended, and that's okay. You're going to end up playing everybody, but when you acquire some injuries or you're acquiring when the transfer portal came up and all of a sudden people were transferring in the middle of the season, that can affect your depth. And when you don't have a lot of depth, that can change the outcomes of games later on. We've worked hard on that. We think we've got a really stable foundation right now. These leaders behind me have done a fantastic job in the offseason in growing up the young people, the underbelly of this football team. And we think that we have the type of team now that can go deep into November and do some of the things that we think we needed to be doing in some of those other years.
Coach to the right side, fifth row.
Coach Joe Marino, Draft Network. Wanted to ask you about Sean Tucker coming off of such a great season, obviously a record-breaking season at Syracuse. What makes him such a special talent, and how can he elevate his game this year?
I'm going to answer that two ways. First of all, Sean is relentless. He works out all the time. And this year he was actually a member of the track team and ran with the track team, but while he was running with the track team, he never missed football practice during spring practice. When the rest of the team went home over Christmas, I'm going into the office because I'm not going anywhere, and I see him working out by himself. The track team's gone, the football team's gone, and here he is still on campus working out. I'm not making this stuff up. This is stuff that just happened, in 2021. Now, all that being said, I stood behind him in spring and watched every one of his runs live, and I'll, without hesitation, tell everybody in the room that I believe he's better. And I'm saying that being modest, that he is not the same. He's actually better than last year, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in 2022.
Coach left side once again, fourth row.
John Eads, Orange Fizz, kind of talked about already the new faces on the offensive side of the ball. Year 3 of the 3-3-5 defense, though. Where do you think that unit is at? How do you think it's progressed since you've changed to that in 2020? And have you recruited to that system successfully to this point?
Let's start from the back end because you asked a whole bunch of questions. Yes, we've recruited to that 3-3-5, and we feel like we're heading in the right direction as far as the depth and the personnel that we're trying to go. When we initially went in and we had the COVID stop, it was very difficult to put that brand new defense in based off of the limitations that we had with contact and how we could meet and so forth. So I think that this year, and you'll get an opportunity to ask our defensive captain, Mikhail, I really believe these guys know the system. I really believe that they're all speaking the same language and they can all pass the language test. That defense is moving around. It's fast, it's quick, and I think we have a lot more depth. We're young at the front end, there's no doubt about it, but everything behind those young kids are frosty guys that know exactly what's going on.
Back to Dan in the front row.
Dino, we look at the fact that we have divisions here in the ACC for one more season, and then we'll switch to that 3-5-5 model. What is it about the model that you like, and the fact that Syracuse will have BC, who you already play, Pitt, who you already play, but you'll have Florida State as a permanent as well? Just what you think about that model moving forward.
You know, I think that's a similar model that when I was in the Big 12 when we were in the Big 12 earlier, we had divisions when I was at Texas A&M. We were in the same division as Oklahoma, same division as Texas, same division as Texas Tech, and we had they had a drought where you really have to play some good football to get out of that division. Okay, that's when I was at Texas A&M. When I went to Baylor, and we started that same way with Baylor being in the division with Texas A&M and the people I talked about, and then we went to that model where we could play everybody. That was one of the big turnarounds with the Baylor schedule. I can still remember when I was a coach at a school other than Baylor that they used to run this thing on the ticker on ESPN. It used to say schools that have not gone to a bowl game. And I still remember seeing Vanderbilt and Baylor on the bottom all the time. And then next thing you know, I was at Baylor after UCLA, and they used to run Baylor across that ticker. When we finally went to a bowl game at Baylor, I'll never forget it. I want to talk to ESPN about it. The year that we went to a bowl game and they stopped running off that Baylor had never gone to a bowl game, they stopped doing the ticker. You've never seen the ticker since. So the last two schools I remember is Vanderbilt and Baylor, and then they never did it again. Point being is this, that schedule, being able to play everybody, I thought really helped Baylor in that turnaround that they were doing. And we love being a part of the Atlantic, and we make no bones about it. But I think it's going to be a lot better for a lot of people when they get an opportunity to play everybody in the league and not just a select few.
Coach, your last question will come to your left, third row.
Bob Halliday, WRL.com. Robert and I's offenses at Virginia were sensational on third down. He featured wide receivers, slot receivers like Billy Kemp, always getting the ball to them to extend drives. And of course, he presided last year over Brennan Armstrong's record-setting 400-plus per game passing season. You were second in rushing, 14th in passing. What impact is he going to have in your passing game?
Well, I think he's already had a drastic effect on our passing game, and I think he's had a fabulous effect on our offensive personnel. These young men watch TV as well. They've been able to see what that offense can do, and when you bring in an offensive coordinator like that with his credentials, you know, we know what he can do, so it's a matter of getting the pegs in the right spot and making sure that those guys are giving them their best performance and giving the effort that needs to be given in order to win football games. And I think those guys have gone out and did that in the spring. I think they carried it over in their voluntary workouts during the summer, and now we're really excited to see what we can do in fall camp.
Coach, thank you. You can switch it up with Matthew.
Okay, Matthew Bergeron.
Got about 5 minutes with our O-lineman, our junior from Syracuse. We'll take the first question to our left, Matthew, about the fourth row. 3 guys each with their hands. Let's see how many we get to.
Matt Bonaparte, Locked On Syracuse. Matthew, this year you are a leader big time. So what are you doing differently to prepare this season that you didn't before to be a leader?
I feel like this offseason I've been more vocal and leading by example for the young guys.
Let's keep it right there, Matthew. Contestant number 2.
John Eads with Orange Fizz. You've been under Coach Mike Schmidt, the offensive line coach, for a full year now. How did the unit progress under year one with him, and how have you seen yourself grow under his leadership?
Man, I already saw my game change from last year to this year's spring ball. Me and Coach Schmidt, we developed a good relationship over our time together, and I'm excited to show y'all what we've been working on behind closed doors.
Stay right there, Matthew, the third one.
Hey, Matthew, John Dales, WAER. Is it a little bit difficult to pass block for a quarterback like Garrett, where you could be locked up with somebody and then suddenly 1 second later, thinking that he's back in the pocket, he's scrambling and you have to let go?
Well, I wouldn't call it difficult. I think it's a little bit different than what I've been used to. But, you know, I'm excited about it. It creates a little fun to the game, and it's fun blocking for Garrett. So, yeah, I love it.
We're going to shuffle that microphone back towards our first row right in front of you, Matthew, on the left.
On the left.
Right in front.
Right.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You played left tackle and right tackle on this offensive line. Just what you could say about your versatility, and if there's a place where you have felt more comfortable, be it the blind side, or if you don't mind switching back and forth.
So I've been lucky to be in a position where I could play at as a freshman, started as a right tackle my freshman year. Sophomore year started as a right tackle, then middle season switched to left tackle, and I've played left tackle ever since. And I felt like I've been really comfortable at that left tackle spot, and I think that's the spot where I want to keep growing as a player.
Matthew, right up the center aisle to the right at the edge.
How would you describe the offense now with Coach Anai's input? How would you kind of sum up or give a not too in-depth scouting report, because you don't want to give away any secrets, but what can you kind of tell us about what he's brought to the offense?
What I can tell you is I think we'll be more explosives, run game and passing game. You guys saw last year the way we was running the ball, and I think we'll be a little bit more balanced next year.
Matthew, we're going to hustle the microphone back to your left, fourth row, back to John again.
John Eads with Orange Fizz. I saw a stat that you're credited with opening up holes and allowing Sean Tucker to run for 4 yards per carry. What do you do in the run game to allow you to open up space for him and be so successful?
I mean, I'm blessed to be blocking for one of the best running backs in college football right now, and just doing my job. And whenever I miss a block, I got a guy like Sean Tucker in the backfield that can make it happen. So I'm really blessed to be blocking for Sean Tucker. So yeah.
Matthew, from the podium, you were relatively unrecruited. Why do you think that was, and why was Syracuse such a good fit?
I mean, being from Canada, I didn't have a lot of offers or whatever. I came down for a camp, got an offer, and it was Syracuse. Got to Syracuse, things happened. I ended up being in the mix, and I never left the field ever since. So I've been working hard for this, and I'm excited to be in this position.
So being from Canada, and excuse me for not knowing, how's your French?
My French is really good. It was my first language. I learned English through school. A little bit how you guys learned Spanish in school.
So you want to give us a little sample?
What do you want me to say?
It's a great week here in Charlotte. I'm proud to represent Syracuse.
C'est une bonne semaine aujourd'hui à Charlotte. Je suis content de représenter l'Université de Syracuse.
Very well done.
Thank you.
We'll go back to John as we've got 1 or 2 more minutes to your left there.
Hey, John, Orange Fizz again. You started 28 consecutive games. What do you want to add to your game this season to be most ready for the NFL potentially next year?
I would say I would like to be more consistent as a player, work on my hand placement, because I feel like last year I got in trouble, in pass protection when guys get into my chest, and I've been working on that with Coach Mike Schmidt, and I think that's going to translate in the next level. In NFL, you got to be consistent with your hands and stuff, because, they got a lot of good rushers down there, so yeah.
Matthew, last question before we excuse you. From the podium here on Twitter on June 9th, there was a picture of you at a cookout. What is your favorite cookout food?
Ever since I got to America, I think the ribs, man. The ribs, I fell in love with the American ribs. I still got to go to, down south, explore the barbecue. I've heard a lot of, good stuff about Texas. So it might be my next vacation spot.
On that note, you can switch up with Mikhail. We appreciate the time.
All right, thank you.
We've got about 5 minutes with our junior linebacker. And let's go ahead and send the first question to the front row. Mikhail, just to your left with Dan.
Mikhail, we've seen a lot of positive things that have happened on this defense last season going into this year. Your decision to be a part of the team here in 2022, just what you can say about your leadership and what you see from the rest of this unit that makes you believe that the defense can be even stronger this year.
I feel like I am growing as a leader, and growing as a leader, I feel like bringing other guys like Marlo Wax, Stephon Thompson, the guys who played next to me, I feel like I help bring leaders out of them too, and it's just helping the team and the defense overall.
We'll go with our trio there on the left, fourth row.
Matt Bonaparte, Lockdown Syracuse. Mikhail, like Dan said, you had a decision last season of whether to go to the NFL or come back to Syracuse. What ultimately led you to come back to the team this season?
It was in my best interest and my best team interest to come back to get better, honestly.
We're going to stick right there for the next 2 questions.
John Eads, Orange Fizz. You don't really have any question marks on defense in the second level. They're all really up front on the D-line with all the guys that left last year. Are you confident in that unit and that it can be serviceable for you this year?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Well,
Are you confident that the D-line can be serviceable this year despite being young, so fresh, and perhaps undersized?
yes, sir, I am confident in this D-line coming up. They don't have a lot of experience, but the guys who have played last season, I feel like they showed what they can do
Stay right there.
Hey, Mikhail, John Dales, WAER. You look ahead to week 1, you have Louisville. How tough of a challenge is that for the defense with an explosive offense and an explosive quarterback like Malik Cunningham?
We see it as a good opportunity. We don't think it's going to be a tough challenge, but we're excited to play those guys the first week.
Michael, I tell you what, Nick, as you're moving, let's catch the young lady right there by the wall.
Kayla McCarthy, Charlotte Sports Live. Mikhail, Dino described you a lot as a quarterback of that defense. How are you going to continue to be a leader for the defense?
Yes, ma'am. I do continue being a great leader for this defense, along with the linebackers and our secondary leadership. Garrett Williams, Jahad Carter, those guys have stepped up in this offseason to be more vocal and lead by example, leading from the front. And I feel like it filters through the defense and also the offense.
Back to the front row, right in front of you to the left.
Michael, I know that you may be partial to this answer that I'm about to ask you, but Sean Tucker, in your opinion, is there a better back going into 2022 in all of college football?
Nobody's answered because he's my teammate, but that's the best running back I played all 4 years here, and playing in the ACC.
We're going to stay on the left-hand side. We're going to go back to the third row.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com. Mikhail, Syracuse quietly became one of the best defenses in the league last year. But here's the thing, you were second in rushing defense, second in pass defense, second in total defense, but only sixth in scoring defense. You got almost everybody back. What do you have to do to get more credit for the good stops that you make and give up fewer points?
Focus on the turnovers more. I remember 2020 season. I'm not 100% sure, but I knew we were top 3 in turnovers, probably top 2. So just getting back to those old habits. We got a lot of experienced guys who are capable of making turnovers and turning it into points. So I feel like that's what we're going to get back to this season.
Michael, just over his shoulder, back to John.
Johnny, it's Orange Fizz. This is probably going to be your last season of college football before you go pro, almost did last year. When you leave and you look back on this season and on this team, how would you label success?
It's going to be a long time coming success. I haven't been in a bowl game since I've been here, and I understand like my class, people who came in my class in 2019 and who stayed along the journey of the wins and the losses, and a little bit more of the losses. It's going to be a good feeling looking back, seeing what we do this season. Plan on having a great season.
Michael, from the podium, your presence on the field obviously makes the Orange better, but how do your teammates and how does Syracuse make you better?
Just the support system. My teammates are so supportive. When I came on my official visit, that was one of the biggest reasons, just seeing the culture that Coach Babers had brought to the team. And then not only the coaches, the people in the academic building, it's always a lot of support. Nobody won't let you fall on your face unless you absolutely want to do it yourself.
Michael, thank you. You can switch spots with Garrett now. Garrett, as you approach the podium, welcome home. Who would like their first question for Garrett? We're going to go to our right, just up the aisle. The gentleman right at the edge, about 5th row up.
Hi, Garrett, Mike Barber from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. I'm curious how you've kind of begun laying a foundation for your relationship with the new offensive coaches, coordinator and quarterback coach. What has that process been like, and how are you enjoying those guys?
It's been awesome. You know, it all started with I have a little bit of background with the air raid, the same system they came with when I played under Mike Leach, Mississippi State. So that was good common ground. You know, a lot of the stuff that we were running I already knew and I was familiar with, so that was awesome. But, you know, I love those guys. They coach you hard with passion, and it takes a little bit off of everybody else because they will absolutely coach you hard. And, I mean, my job is just to try to be an extension of them, you know, being a coach on the field and being able to get all these guys right and get them to where they need to be. And, you know, obviously these guys here as well, but Matthew Bergeron, he sets the tone from up front because you can't do anything out of an offensive line. He's clearly the leader in that group. But, you know, just trying to be an extension of them. And I think it's been good so far, and we're content in where we know we are right now, but we know where we need to be come this fall.
Front row to your left.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Garrett, you and Sean Tucker combined on the ground for over 2,200 yards last season. Just what you can say it means to you to be in this offense as a part of that tandem, And then secondly, on the passing side of it, just what Coach Beck is doing to open up your game a little bit more so we can see what else you can do on the field.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the run game goes, we'll address that first. Starts up front, first and foremost. You know, we got a great offensive line that are doing a lot of good things. We got a great running back, obviously, in Sean Tugger. He can do a lot of things, very versatile. But a lot of things that most people don't see that kind of goes unnoticed is the coaching staff and all how creative we actually get in our run game and putting us in the best situation to have one-on-ones or be running on air basically most of the time. And that's who, you know, the credit doesn't get given to, but, you know, that definitely needs to be addressed. And the position that they put us in to be successful in the run game. And moving on to the new staff and offensive-wise, I mean, they're doing the same thing we've been doing last year, keeping that, and then bringing what they brought from Virginia. And, you know, it's not necessarily a concern of if we can get the job done, because we know we're more than capable and competent. And we got a lot of receivers that didn't get a chance to show themselves, but we got some names that will be big this year and put on a lot of good plays. And we're looking forward to it, and, I mean, we're going to be explosive this year, I will say that, in both aspects of the game.
To your left, fourth row.
Hey, Garrett. Matt Bonaparte, Locked On Syracuse. 2 new quarterbacks in the locker room with you now. What's your relationship like with the new guys?
It's been good. I mean, we got a good group of guys. You know, they're a little bit younger, a little bit less experienced, but, you know, our room was a little bit dwindled down due to the transfer portal and other reasons. But, you know, we got a good group. We feel a little bit better. You know, we lost one key aspect of our room, too, earlier this year in spring. So, I mean, just continue to get those guys, trying to bring those guys along. You know, there's a big learning curve, especially for, I mean, because this is my 4th offense in 4 years. So, and, you know, one of those I wasn't even playing quarterback. But, so I've seen a lot of football and learned all those systems, but I've been playing the whole time versus these guys who are just trying to learn a new system and not hadn't necessarily had the experience. So just trying to bring those guys along and trying to help them out as best I can, but because we're all in the same goal, same mission.
Keep it right there on the fourth row.
Johnny, it's Orange Fizz. You just mentioned it, your 4th different offense in 4 years. Is this offense the most tailor-made to fit your skill set? And how do you feel going into what I guess would be the 2nd year in this offense, even though there's a new coordinator?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the most excited I've been since I've been in college for a football season. And part of that is just because I feel like it's, you know, it's my offense, my team, that I can kind of, it can go wherever I decide to take it. And, you know, these coaches have done a great job. They're really, really exciting to play for and just have coaching on the field. But moving forward, I mean, we got all the pieces we need. Now we just got to go out, and they're giving Coach Babers has given us all the support staff and the tools that we need. So we just got to go out and do it. And that's what we're looking forward to. We're excited because we're going to be given an opportunity.
Still on the fourth row there.
Hey, Garrett, John Dales, WAER. You mentioned a couple of the wide receivers going under the radar coming into this season. Could you elaborate a little bit on that and what your chemistry with them has been like throughout the offseason?
Yeah, so in terms of the air raid, that background that they have, we've been given the framework, and within that, you know, we were running our offense based off the defense. And I built a little bit of the chemistry with those guys, but even last year, you know, I wouldn't have started until week 4. So just continuing, I mean, we were growing the whole time last year. It wasn't like that was a finished product at all. But then we get a new system. We got a little bit of structure, but we're just continuing to work on those fine details. But we got a great group of receivers, and I'm excited about what we're going to be doing this year.
Garrett, your last question from the podium. Your father has called you an old soul. Why is that?
I mean, I listen to the same music that he listens to. That's part of it, you know, 70s, and listen to Eagles and all that stuff. But, I mean, I don't have a lot of social media and all that stuff, so I don't really care for it either. But that's probably the biggest reason. And I like to hang out with people, you know, I like to be with my guys. Got a good group of guys, and that's all I really need.
Garrett, thank you. Syracuse, good luck this year. You guys are excused for other adventures.